In this example, I'm going to go through in Blender to create a simple vase. And in preparation, I've downloaded from Unsplash a load of examples. And I'm using PureRef, which is a free app, which I thoroughly recommend, to give me like a mood board, a set of examples, as you can see here. And I'm just going to create a couple of variations, but if you want to get fancy, you can use these to see what you want to do, and it works out quite nicely. PureRef, by the way, is completely free. And where's my browser? Here you go. You just get PureRef, and you got it for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It is free, although it looks like it isn't, but you can do a custom amount and type in 0, and it allows you to download. So I thoroughly recommend downloading that. And I'm just going to create a simple example, but if you look at it, we can do all sorts of variations and materials and so on. So I'm using the latest version of Blender, and it shouldn't make any difference, but I'm using 4.2.0. Also, I've got Bob here, my little reference. So when I go to front orthographic, number keypad 1, and I'll zoom in, control, I'm going to stroke my Apple Magic Mouse, so there we go. So I get a sort of basic idea of scale, although I can always change the size later. Also, be aware I'm using right mouse click to select, and my left mouse click selects or moves the 3D cursor, as you can see here. And if you do Shift C, it will sort of zoom to fit everything in your scene, and it centers the 3D cursor. Although if I press the N key on the right hand side, I can go to where is it? My view. Here you go, and you can change the location of the 3D cursor manually if you wanted to. But let's do N, Shift C, so we're back again. And we'll do a couple of examples, nothing terribly complicated. So I'm going to do Shift A, Mesh and Circle. And by the way, my setup will look different from yours. This is my starting file. And also I've got various plugins installed. That's why I've probably got more here than you have. But you'll certainly have the standard ones, and Mesh, Shift A, Mesh and Circle. And when you do things like this, in the bottom left hand corner you should get some properties, and one of them will be vertices. So I'm going to set it to 8. I'm not going to worry about the size or anything else. I'll set it to 8 because I'll make it low poly, and I'll close that down. Do not forget as well, you can always go to the add menu, and you've got things, same thing again as Shift A. I'm going to tab in. Now in my preferences I've got the pie menu up, so I'll go to edit mode. Here we go. But if I go to edit preferences, I'm under key map on the left hand side, and I've ticked tab for pie menu. Or you can click in the top left hand corner, the drop down, object mode, edit mode, or whatever other mode you want. Also note as well, we have vertex select, which is what I want, which is your top row numbers 1, 2 for edge mode and 3 for face mode, but vertex mode is what I want. And I also do single tap A to select, deselect. So under the select menu you can do none, Alt A, invert, or A for all. Again, depending on how you set up your Blender file. So S to scale down, something like that. I can always change it later. I'll scroll in, and you should see my keyboard shortcuts at the bottom in Blender. I've got my, it's quite handy actually, my screencast keys up. And at the moment it's empty, so I'll do F for fill, and do E to extrude up to Z, number keypad 1, zoom out. If you're on a laptop or you haven't got a wide keyboard, you can do the comma key, which is the sort of change in sort of orientation, moving things around, transform orientations here, and you can see, I'll escape to cancel, or full stop key, which you can change the median point, individual origins, etc., etc. So that's quite handy as well. And so we've got those, so comma. So the orientations we can set, and the pivot point we can set as well. And I'm deliberately leaving this low poly. So Control R, left click, move downish, left click, S to scale. And we have a very simple shape. I don't want the top filled, so I'll click on face select mode, click on the top face and X and choose faces. Now, if I go back to vertex mode, I could, if I wanted to, and for this, I'll give it some thickness, but for this, I'm going to go to X-ray mode. Alt Z is the shortcut. And Alt right mouse click on the top edge. There we go. I can do E immediately followed by S to scale it in. Left click E and Z to go down. And then if I wanted to, I can do Control R down, left click and scale in or out, whatever I want. Oh, wrong. That's one of the things you've got to be careful of. Control R again. There you go. Oh, no. You've got to be careful. Let's zoom in a bit. Control R. I think that's it. Yeah, there you go. Left click, scale. But there's an easier way to give thickness. But if I wanted to, I could do that. So let's take that off and let's undo. There you go. Also, you'll notice my internal faces are red, and that's because here in the drop down under viewport overlays, I've got face orientation on. In other words, I want to see which way the normals are pointing, because it's very handy for me to check whether or not they're pointing in the right direction. Because if they're not, that will give me a problem with materials lighting and so on and so forth. You might have it off or on, it's entirely up to you. It works out quite nicely. If you want to see it, here we go. In the drop down here, I can click on normals, and there you can see the blue perpendicular lines are facing out on the grey. If they're red, then they'll be facing the wrong direction, which I don't want. So let's click on that, and let's get rid of that, so I don't need that, and I'll leave that on for the moment. Now I'm going to tab out and object mode, there you go, on the left. And what I need to do is I need to give it a bit more detail. So to that, I'll go to the modifier panel on the right hand side, the spanner here, click on add modifier, generate, and subdivision surface. Very useful. And I will set the viewport to 3, and if I render, I'll set it the same. So I could have the viewport set to low for speed and the render for high for better quality. And if you notice, we've got more faces, more verts, but we have a problem. So I'll go into edit mode, Control R, left click here and go down. And you see now I get a tighter result, which is fine. And if you notice, even though my cage, my initial set of verts is low poly, with the subdivision modifier applied, it actually looks quite smooth. But we can still see faces, so I'll tab out of that. And I need to make sure my, I'm in vertex paint, that's fine. Let's go to object mode. There you go, selected. And I'm going to press the W key because I'm on right mouse click select and do shade smooth. For everyone else, if you're on left mouse click select, just right mouse click shade smooth. And so you see it looks much nicer. I've got a simple vase, but I want a bit of thickness. And I didn't want to do it myself. So again, I'll go to add modifier on the right, generate and solidify, and bingo. Now we have a slight problem here, but that's easy enough to fix. Tab in, Control R, left click and move up. Not too tight, but you know, just I want a nice round edge. Tab out, and there we go. The thickness can be changed on the right hand side. There's the thickness amount. I can click and do 0.005 for example, or whatever number I want. But if you look inside, you can see we've got a nice thickness. And indeed, if I wanted to, I could add, you know, all sorts of variations. So I'll tab out of that, Shift D, X, tab in, and let's Alt right mouse click, Alt Shift right mouse click, GZ, taller, and another loop cut, Control R, scale Shift Z, so don't change in the Z, and so I can get something like that. Or if I want, I can, let's left click, where are we? We're in vertex paint again, so tab, object mode, there you go, left click there, and I'm going to do Shift A. Mesh, I could have started from a cylinder, scale down, GZ up, tab in, and go to face mode. So I can do the same sort of thing, delete the faces, go to vertex mode, Alt right mouse click there, and GZ up, Control R, left click, scale, number keypad 1, oh no, G, there you go, GZ, bring it down approximately, and again I can go to subdiv 3, tab in, Control R, tab out, generate, solidify, change it to 0.005, and again W or right mouse click, shade smooth, tab in, Control R, and let's Alt right mouse click, double tap G. Now you see we've got a bit of a problem here, so I can go back in and I can go to face mode, right mouse click on that and do an inset, so I've got like another loop inside to give myself a better result. And there you go. So 2 ways to create a vase. You can also do all sorts of things. Tab, object mode. When I have the pie keys, you've got to be careful. I'm doing it too quick, and if I go quick enough, so I'll cancel that, tab right, it will go. So tab, there you go, tab left. But if I'm off a bit, which I am sometimes, I go into weight paint, so I've got to be careful there. So tab right. But what I can do is select, I'm in face mode, there you go. Oh, there you go. There we go, Alt Shift. Now R, Z, so I'm twisting. Tab out. And so I get a different sort of style. There's nothing at the moment sort of showing me a twist because I've got no sort of design or here or materials, but you can imagine, let's undo that. And let's go to face select, Alt right mouse click here. So I'm selecting all the faces around here, and I'm going to do I to inset, I again to inset individual. So it's something like that. I'm holding the Shift key down to go small. There you go. Now we've got another issue. So let's go back and let's do, in fact, Control R. Yeah, that gives us a better result. See, not perfect there. So I think what I'll do is I'll undo, Control R. Let's have a look. There you go. Okay, now let's see what happens when we twist. So in fact, actually, it'll be easier to go to X-ray mode, B for box select. There you go, selected. RZ, rotate around Z, and I'm just manually doing it. And you see it's narrowing on its own. Left click, tab out, come out of that. And now we get a nice sort of striated effect. And this is a quick way of creating vases. And of course, if I wanted to, I could just scale this up or down to produce the size I want. I've kept it large. If you see Bob over here, this is like almost half the height goes up to his hip. But you know, you can scale these down to whatever you want. Do watch out. Where is your origin point? Mine is white rather than yours, which is probably orange. But on these two, it's at the bottom because I start from a circle. Here I start from a cylinder, and so the origin point's in the middle. So if you're going to move this around, I'm going to tab in. I'm going to go to face select mode, select the bottom face, and Shift S. And what I want is cursor to selected. Then I can just tab out of that, and I'll press my quick favorites, and I have set origin to 3D cursor. If you want to do that yourself, you can go to the object menu and there's set origin and choose whatever you want. But that's how you create some simple vases.